And we're live, back with another podcast. Mike here with Jeff again. As always, got a decent amount to talk about. Not a whole lot. Obviously, the playoffs going on now. A little Flyers talk and World Championships we're going to talk about for a little bit too. Just kind of see how the Flyers players who are representing their countries are doing. Some surprises, some not so much, I would say. And yeah, I guess we can kind of just jump right in to the playoffs. And the Sharks last night, or I guess yesterday afternoon, did not look that good.
They looked awful.
Yeah,
Um,
almost as bad as the commentary in the game outside of Kenny Albert.
yes, I agree. I feel so bad for Kenny.
Yeah, I texted you that too. I was like,
I
I feel
know.
bad for Kenny.
I know.
You have to do this game with Mike Milbury and Pierre.
It's like, well, I didn't deserve
Yeah.
this. But, yeah, just... All right, let me
Which
ask
I guess you could say maybe
Yeah,
fatigue is now might be
definitely
starting to-
injuries are a big
injuries
factor.
and a little fatigue just because they had
Right.
to go to 2 Game 7s.
Yes. And then Eric Carlson looked like he was shooken up.
Yeah, he didn't
So,
come out for the third period.
I think that San Jose, they might be in trouble here, big time.
yeah,
Because
go
if
back
they
to
don't have even a somewhat
Yeah.
healthy Eric Carlson, it's
But-
things aren't looking good. Yeah,
we saw what he could do with one leg.
well,
with
exactly.
Iowa,
Right.
so-
That's what I'm saying. Like even a somewhat healthy Eric Carlson is great, but I'm
Yeah.
saying if he's out completely though, that's where the problem comes in.
yeah.
But what I want to ask you before we kind of dive a little bit into this series a tiny bit,
Yes, I would San Jose. Sorry, what?
yes,
What-
is
What'd you say?
what are your thoughts with Martin Jones? So before you answer that, let me explain more. Because I like Martin Jones as a goalie, but the past few years,
Yeah,
he's kind of been teeter-tottering here and
he's
there and hasn't been that consistent.
he's like a
yeah.
Picarine for me, where
Okay.
during the season or at times he can look really good,
Right.
but then
During the playoffs.
at times he also has the
Right.
ability to
Kind of not show up.
yeah,
Yes.
and kind of have the Brizgalov moments, if
Yes.
you want to put it that way, and maybe a couple softies or whatever. But
Right. And then, so it's kind of like a follow-up question is, what do you do with him? Do you keep him for a couple more years, or do you get rid of him for a different goalie? What do you do if you're Doug Wilson on the San Jose Sharks? What's your option? Because
your option is Martin Jones.
right, and
The
that
only reason I say that is because he's under contract for 2024, 2025.
yes, I agree. Because I was just bringing up his contract as well. He's 29 years old, 5.75 mil cap hit. My thing is, like you just mentioned, he's a free agent in
Yeah,
2024,
he's-
2025.
Ooh,
What would you? Yeah.
he signed the contract last year for
Oh.
6 years, 34.5 million.
Okay.
Which I guess they felt confident enough in Jones. Which I mean,
Right, which I do
I
get.
can get because he was always thought of as like a good kind of goalie prospect when he was with the Kings.
Boston, and then Kings.
Yeah. For that short stint, not even with the.
I know.
Bruins.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, but it's also his second time around here. He was with them when they went to the Stanley Cup, lost to the Penguins, but even then he kind of laid an egg in that series.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to look up. What are his playoff stats like? I kind of want to look at his playoff stats versus his like season stats kind of thing.
All right.
I mean, both will come up when you look at his stats.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And then I just want to kind of, while you're doing that, I want to mention how well Jordan Bennington, the rookie for St. Louis, has done. He's only 25 years old, and during the regular season, at least Bennington was 24-5-1. During the playoffs, he's 11-7, 2.44 goals against average, .912 save percentage, with a shutout, which
Yeah.
came in last game.
Martin Jones didn't have a great year this year.
Yeah, and it's
a point .896 save percentage,
Ugh.
2.94 goals against.
2 point. Ouch.
The playoffs, it's gone up slightly, but it's .902 save percentage,
Okay.
296 goals against.
Yeah.
Last year that was a 928 and a 2.26. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, again, I get he's under contract for a good chunk, for the next few years and everything. I just, I would definitely give him another 2-3 years maybe, and then kind of decide what to do with him because he needs to start turning things around for San Jose.
Yeah.
Because, don't get me wrong, he helped lead them here to the Western Conference Final, but more so, I would think, if anything, it's been the depth of the Sharks lineup that helped push them here.
Especially defensively.
Exactly. So I would say more so offensively and defensively, that's what helped. That is what has helped the Sharks get here to this point in the Western Conference Final.
I'm always iffy on what wins at the end of the day.
Besides goaltending, it really comes down to depth. That's all it is.
I was going to say there's always the goaltending, which you've seen this playoffs for sure.
Absolutely.
Boston, which we'll get into. San Jose, obviously, since January with Binnington. We've seen it with Hart when they were at their best.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
But then there's also, because I just thought this came into my head, the 2010 Flyers.
Yeah.
Not the best goaltending, but
they had tremendous depth. Claude Giroux, he was on the third line that year.
Yeah.
He wasn't a superstar yet.
JVR.
It was a rookie JVR, and he still
had
really good.
Still good Chris Pronger.
Oh, you had an exceptional Chris Pronger. That was his first year with the Flyers.
Yeah.
And he did outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
You had a threat of Mike Richards, Jeff Carter deal. You had Simone Gagne, who was lethal on the power play.
Briere.
Danny Briere, Mr. Playoffs, he was exceptional.
You still had Chemo.
Chemo Timonen was great. Scott Hartnell provided some energy.
Yeah.
And everyone played their fair share, played their own role.
And as weird and crazy as the last goal was that Kane scored, it was a close series. Yeah.
So I'll put it this way. A friend of mine, Scoop Cooper, who's a hockey historian, was telling me if Joel Quenneville did not change his lineup after Game 3 of the Cup Finals, the Flyers would have won.
Yeah.
Because the way the Flyers, although the first 2 games in Chicago weren't that great, the Flyers rebounded, won Games 3 and 4. But then after that, lost the next 2. But again, if Quenneville didn't change his lines, Philly could have been having a parade around Broad Street there.
Possibly, yeah.
So, yeah, but again, that just goes to show how.
I was actually just thinking of this because
what's that?
When the Bruins won, that was with
2011.
Tim
Thomas in net, yes,
and they lost against the Flyers with Tuukka Rask, right?
Yes, correct.
Do you think he's used that as kind of a motivation for the rest of his career?
100%, 110%.
Because I know Boston fans have never, at time, and probably maybe because of the series, but at times have never been a big fan of Tuukka Rask.
Right. I think, and honestly, that's a great and absolute excellent point that you brought up. And it's really funny that you mentioned that because I don't know why, but I see so many analysts and other fans just say, on social media, especially Twitter, saying, I don't understand the hatred towards Tuukka Rask. Yeah. I think that's kind of the pinpoint right there.
I guess it's also because us and some of those analysts might not follow the Bruins as closely as others do.
Absolutely. That's definitely fair to say, but
which is why people might say, "Oh, why are people shitting on McDonald? He's such a great defenseman."
Yeah, it's like
Pierre. Some of those kind of
really
analysts say
how close. Yeah, because I think again that's another excellent point they bring up. Because we don't watch Boston games unless
we see them unless they're playing the Flyers.
Unless they're playing the Flyers or playoffs, exactly. Because then you can really
or the occasional game on like NBC.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Or if they're in another Winter Classic.
Right.
But because my thing is that Rask They had an exceptional
the
duo
past-
in 2011 when they won the Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tim Thomas, he was lights out that year.
Yeah.
That was unfreaking believable what he was able to do that playoffs.
He didn't retire after that, right?
There is a whole...
Because after that,
he went to Florida.
Did he? No, I thought he went to St. Louis. No, that was Brodeur.
That was Brodeur. Yeah, he went to Florida, and then
He was just
remember that Luongo also went back to Florida.
Yeah. Slow. I don't know why. Okay, so we're back. I don't know how much we missed there, but
I don't know.
we're back on now. So
All right.
you missed us a little bit.
Okay, well, hopefully,
Like 10 minutes in,
Yeah.
almost 11. But
all right, we'll figure it out.
as you were probably saying or whatever was
Yes.
on Tuukka Rask and
Yes,
Tim
before-
Thomas.
Yes, before it got cut out, we were talking about, like you said, Tuukka Rask and Tim Thomas, and that was such a great duo for Boston in
Mhm.
2011. And, kind of going back and...
Which I guess you could say the same thing with the Penguins.
Well, exactly. And that's a huge reason why
Mhm.
I think they went back-to-back 2016, 2017, is because they had speed, skill, and depth.
Mm-hmm.
They picked up Carl Hagelin. They had Matt Murray in net behind Marc-Andre Fleury. But then when Fleury wasn't
Yep.
doing well or got injured, they switched him, and Murray just did
Do
well.
you think, though,
Yeah.
going back to San Jose, because that's
Yes.
kind of how our conversation
Right,
started,
right.
we just kind of gone to a little tangent, which I guess we
Like
can kinda
always.
get back to when you talk about Boston.
Yes.
But back to San Jose. Do you think if they lose here, like the series,
Yeah.
that changes Carlson's thinking of staying
Right.
versus if they would have gone to the Stanley Cup and won, per se? Does
Or
that
even just
change-
gone to the Stanley
right.
Cup.
Does that change his thinking
Right.
of staying in San Jose?
It's interesting you brought this up because I had almost the exact same question when they were in round one against Vegas.
yeah.
And, they ended up winning that series.
Mhm.
And so I think it's safe to say that, it's not, all right.
That's not
It's not safe to say, but
but based on kind of
based on how things have been and been going.
well, there's that, and also
Yeah.
this offseason they have to.
They have
decide
a
between-
lot of questions
They kind of have to decide
figure out
between him or
Pavelski.
Pavelski, and
because I don't think Nyquist is coming back.
nah.
They also have
Um,
to re-sign Jonas Donskoy, Michael
have a
Haley.
couple-
They
they
have
have a
to.
couple
They have
different-
RFA and Kevin LeBanc, who's going to get a good contract. Timo Meyer is going to be a heavy contract. Yeah, it's just
But
looking at the roster.
having said
Yeah,
that, Pavelski's
yeah.
probably gonna want a bigger contract, right?
I
but he's
don't know
also-
because he is 35.
That's what he was. Yeah, he's
Sorry,
34.
34.
He's
But-
gonna be in his mid-30s,
He's going to be in his late 30s.
which
but
means he's
yeah.
not gonna be able to going forward. To keep putting up the numbers, or
Right. I
what
actually
he's always done.
I did mention Joe Pavelski in my article that I did want to
Right.
bring up in a little bit later. Did you know that Pavelski has been a consistent 60-plus point scorer for the last 7 years, excluding the 2012-2013 shortened season?
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, I think I might have saw something come up about that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me. He's always
It
been a good
doesn't either.
player. Yeah.
And that's why I think that Joe Pavelski could be a player like Joe Thornton where he could play in his 40s.
Sure.
I think he's got a solid, although he's 34, I think he's got a solid 6 years left.
Yeah.
Like a real solid 6 years. So that way,
Yeah, it could be
if
like,
I'm a team.
I was gonna say it could be like a Yager.
Exactly. So, because if I'm a team, somehow, miraculously, Joe Pavelski makes it to free agency, which one I highly doubt, because one, he's your captain, he's your heart and soul of that team, I think. I would offer him like a 4-year contract.
Yeah.
And some people might question, I'm like, oh, he's
30,
34
yeah.
right now. He'll be there until 38, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, like, there's very few players out there, especially nowadays, that can play until their late 30s or
Right.
early 40s even.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I just know sometimes when you're a free agent, you just kind of weigh
Yeah.
all your options out there, and I don't know how.
for sure.
I mean, I think he's kind of since the start of the season kind of shut down any thing about contract or anything. So.
Right. I don't know, for him, he probably just wants to focus on the season,
Yeah.
which, I do get. It's just,
And
if-
obviously in the
yeah.
past There's been some rumors of where people think he could possibly end up or whatever, but you won't really know until free agency actually hits, which is still a month or so away.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're kind of on their heels right now. Do they have another game here to pull off in a Game 7? We've seen it done before, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, if there's, I guess I was going to say, if there was a team that could do it, even though they're hurt, that could see this team as one of them. But in order to do that, you do have to beat Bennington.
Yeah.
And as you're, if you're Peter DeBoer,
right,
what do you do to prepare for the next game?
That's
for tomorrow night's game. You're going to be on the road. It's going to be rowdy. I'm assuming they don't want to pull like the Winnipeg Jets and their Game 6 where they play terribly.
Right.
And they got beaten pretty handily, which the Sharks just got beaten pretty handily.
It's really tough to say because it comes down to matchups because
do you then? Yeah. I was just kind of saying leading up. If your team's kind of tired or whatever, how do you kind of?
So they don't play till tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's an 8 p.m. game. That one should be in St. Louis.
I'm assuming they're in St. Louis now. I'm assuming they flew after the game yesterday.
Yes, they are in St. Louis. Yeah, because looking at the last game,
it was not a particularly good game for them.
It wasn't. Jaden Schwartz had a hat trick. Vladimir Tarasenko got his 7th of the year, and Oscar Sundqvist opened up scoring 6 minutes into the game.
And they got shut out.
But
if you're going back on that game, you don't really have anything to go for unless you want to be like, this is it. Play your hearts out.
Right.
And then maybe you have a Flyers against the Penguins last year in a Game 5 where, like, there's no way we're going to beat this, and yet Jean Couturier can...
Game 6, yeah.
Brings it to Game 6.
Yes.
They still lost, but...
Oh, yeah, and I hear you saying.
I'm saying in Game 5 because everyone was hurt and everything.
And then, yes, I see what you're saying now.
No, Provorov got hurt in that game.
Yes.
And Couturier was hurt in practice like right before
2 days later or something.
Or right before it.
Yeah. But yeah, so if I was Peter DeBoer, like, it's so tough because I actually, no, here's what I would say. I would say, look, guys, you've been in this situation before. There were, if I'm not mistaken, I need to double check with this one. If I'm not mistaken, earlier in this series, it was Vegas. They were up 3-1 in that series.
Come back against Vegas.
They were up 3-1
in Vegas
in that series.
And Vegas is a better team.
Yes. And then going to Game 5, they handed it to them relatively easily, 5-2.
Fatigue set in because Game 6 went to double overtime,
and then Game 7 even went in overtime.
And then they didn't fare much better against Colorado because
that was a tough series.
It was. They never trailed in this series, but it came close.
Yeah, because what I would say is
Game 7 didn't go to an overtime, but Game 6 did.
Yeah.
And they lost.
Yeah. The only thing I will say is, again, if I was Pete DeBoer, you guys have been here before. Yes, you might be a little fatigued, but you have the depth, the goaltending, most likely, and also you have the veteran presence of what it's like being here. Not many players on the entire roster for the St. Louis Blues have been to this point. Their goalie's a rookie. Braden Shen, the most he's been in is a second round. Vladimir Tarasenko, actually I lied. More than half of them have been in the Western Conference Final. That was a couple years ago against this same Sharks team. That's my fault. Forgot about that. But there are obviously some new faces, like, again, Bennington, Ryan O'Reilly. He's never been at this point, I don't think. But, the fact that
Not
he's
with
showing
Buffalo,
up.
no.
Not with Buffalo, that's right. Also, if I was DeBoer, I would say, guys, we need to focus more on that fourth line because it is killing them. Oscar Sundqvist, Pat Maroon.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting who's on the fourth line with them, but Sundqvist, I'm amazed at what he's been able to do.
I think if you're doing that, I think you're just going, I believe in us defensively against this team. It's more us trying to beat them or trying to beat their defense or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's where their strong point is.
Right.
And not making any dumb decision. Don't get your emotions tied into anything.
Exactly. I think, if anything, because it's been a very chippy series.
Sure, which happens during the playoffs. Especially when you play each other so many times in a row or whatever. It just happens.
Yeah.
Whether you're really rivals at the time or not, just it kind of happens.
Yeah, no, it's... Yeah, literally. When Sundqvist scored last night, or yesterday, that's 4 goals in 4 games for St. Louis's fourth line. Yeah, and then the fourth line, it's Barbashev, Sundqvist, and Steen.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's also a
line.
hole you're seeing with the Sharks.
Yeah,
offensively, I guess is their depth there,
which is surprising because they do have Donskoy on their fourth line.
True.
It's just I don't know, for some reason.
And Kane's been cold.
Kane has been very cold. I think, if San Jose wants to win the series, Kane has to find his spot again.
The guys you're expecting should
right now. Yeah, literally, I think Kane is a point in the last 7 games he's played overall or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even 6. But, again, a great point there. Evander Kane has been freezing cold. He needs to warm up and he needs to get something done. He needs to show up in Game 6. Sorry. Yeah, Game 6, right? Yeah. Sorry. So many games. But anyway, so regardless, though, the Stanley Cup Final could start as late as May 27th, depending on the length of this series. If it does start on the 27th, that would mean an 11-day wait for the Boston Bruins, which is the longest in the NHL's salary cap era. So, obviously, Boston is in the Cup Finals. Right now, if you had to make a decision and pick who would face them based off of how the series is going, who would you pick? Would it be St. Louis in 6 right now, St. Louis in 7, or San Jose in 7?
I think it goes to 7. I think they kind of force everything into this next kind of game or whatever, because they're on their line and something's going to click, I feel.
Yeah.
But because Game 7 would go back to in San Jose, so...
Yes, and we all know how SAP Center can get.
Yeah. But St. Louis just won a game in San Jose.
Right.
Handedly. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm sticking with where I was before. I think San Jose can somehow push it.
Right. Yeah, I think if San Jose wins this game, I'm still going to go with them in 7. And then I think regardless, I'll put it this way. Unfortunately, I think regardless of who wins the series, they're going to be gassed for this Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah.
And Boston's just too overpowering. They really are. It's amazing what they can do.
Mm-hmm. I think that would beat either one, San Jose or St. Louis. But I think paper wise, I think San Jose would give them a better
Yeah.
series and more likely to beat
Mhm.
them. Which who knows?
Right.
Because it seems the little spark they got with Pavelski coming back kind of cooled.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to find something else to kind of re-spark it.
Mhm.
Whether it's like Claude Giroux when he took out Crosby right away.
Yes. 5 seconds into Game 6, 2012. And then 27 seconds later, scores a goal.
Yeah. If it's something like that.
Exactly.
If it's someone like Evander Kane scoring and then deciding he's going to start playing
He
better.
almost did score now in opening Game 5. In 10 seconds into the game, he hit the post.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting his chances, but he's got to show up. And then, what are you going to say? Sorry.
I lost it.
Sorry.
Couture leads the playoffs right now on points by 20.
Yeah, I think so. Couture, he's been doing everything he can. I think if San Jose were to get to the Cup final, it would be Couture versus Rask for the Vezina. Sorry, Vezina. I keep saying that. Conn Smythe. But obviously, if Boston wins, it would be Rask. San Jose were to win,
That's another thing.
it would be Couture. What's that?
I want to see what their lines are for
Yes.
the Sharks.
Honestly, you might have better luck just looking up on Twitter. Just
Probably.
Hold on. 'Cause there's a certain reporter in San Jose that I follow. I can't think of his name right now. It's now bugging me very much. I don't know.
I'll just do daily face-off.
Yeah, 'cause like I don't know why, but their website I don't know like how soon did they update and everything.
All right, so this is what they have.
Okay.
First line, Logan Couture, Gustav Nyquist, Timo Meyer. Second line, Kane, Hurdle, Pavelski. Pavelski's on the wing.
Mm-hmm.
Third line, Thornton, LeBlanc, Sorensen. Fourth line, Goodrow, Donskoy, and
Melker Carlson. Yes.
And then defensive, Vlasic, Burns, Dylan, Carlson, Braun, Ryan. Joachim Ryan.
Yes.
So those are the lines that are.
Okay.
Would you would you change that in some way, or how would you change?
Were
that? If these are the lines, or
right? What were the first two lines again? I know Pavelski was on second line.
Couture, Meyer, Nyquist, first line. Hurdle, Kane, Pavelski, second
I
line.
would put Hurdle and Meyer on the same line together on that top line. Hurdle's so deserving of that top line. I would take off.
Nyquist.
Yes, Nyquist. I don't mind Nyquist at all, but I would rather have Timo Meyer and Thomas Hurdle on that top line.
Right.
That's just what I think.
And then you can move. If you do that, you move Pavelski back to center, and
I would
line of Kane and Nyquist with. Pavelski.
I think that's a real sharp line right there. Those two lines on the top six that can do damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have the right pieces in order to succeed. It's just figuring out what works for them.
Right.
'Cause I don't know if these are the same lines that they had when they played Vegas or Colorado.
I don't know either.
I don't think they are, but I'm just.
If Carlson's healthy, defensively,
Yes.
Carlson Burns together. Just
They need to do that. I don't
yeah.
know why they haven't done it yet.
I know their defense is pretty good no matter what.
I
You can
agree.
separate them, but when it comes down to it,
When it comes down to an elimination game,
your season's on the line here. I mean,
Carlson and Burns, two of the best defensemen in the entire league.
Mm-hmm. Put them together, and then you can put Dylan and Vlasic together. Or you
And
put
that's
Braun
still a
and
good
Vlasic
defensive
together.
pair. Yeah. I'm not sure. It's a tough one. All right, we covered that
Yeah.
very well. So now the winner obviously faces Boston.
Yes.
Like I mentioned, Tuukka Rask, the clear-cut favorite to win the Conn Smythe.
Yes. Not the Vezina?
If it's not the Vezina. If it's not Rask that wins the Conn Smythe, I'm going to be pissed for Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
yes.
I don't see how you can give it to anyone but that, because
Exactly.
they've, other than the Toronto series, and I guess maybe falling behind the Columbus, they've had a pretty easy run since then.
And I'll show you.
Like, I would say, I would argue if they were having like San Jose or St. Louis, where the games were closer or whatever,
or
I would
overtime,
argue,
double overtime.
Yeah, I would argue Marchand just because of
Yeah.
his ability to play both ends.
You can certainly argue that, yeah.
Or even Chara.
Yes, Chara, I think he's been a great, great help to Boston's lineup, but it's showing, the depth. And also, this rest right now is helping him, like you said earlier before the podcast.
Before on the podcast,
it's helping him more than anybody.
Right, but I guess we can say that on here is if this long span off, like the other teams that had time off from the sweeping or in their series, if that would affect Boston at all.
Yes and no.
I think that if it does, it would just be game one.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Boston
game one, and then that's it. And then Boston will show up the rest of the series.
And as I said before we got on the podcast, was if there's any team that I'd be okay, that I think would be okay with time off or whatever,
Boston.
or when it matters, Boston, because most of the team is veterans that have been there.
Yeah.
And for the older players like Chara, and I could even put Backus in there.
You could. They've looked good. Good.
That helps them.
Also, Charlie Coyle, that is one of the best pickups they've had in a very long time. Also, Marcus Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
Two very key pickups for Boston. Don Sweeney, gotta hand to him. Heck of a job picking up those two players. But
it could even help, in a way, Tuukka a little bit.
Yeah.
Because even though he stopped so many shots at one time.
Right.
In that series or whatever.
And then look at the first three series in the deciding game. So round 1, game 7, he allowed 1 goal. Game 6 against Columbus, he allowed no goals. And, of course, game 4 against Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals was a shutout.
Yeah.
So he's allowed 1 goal in the deciding game in the last 3 rounds. That's amazing.
I know Carolina had a pretty rowdy kind of... I was going to say, he only allowed Carolina to score 1 goal at home for Carolina.
And Carolina was almost... I think even at that point, undefeated going into that series at home, where they scored plenty of goals.
Mm-hmm. The only game was close. There was that game 3, 2-1.
Yeah.
Every other game was a blowout. 5-2, 6-2, 4-0 were the other ones.
Yeah.
I thought they would have put up a little more of a fight, but
I did too, but it just goes to show
It
how
just-
powerful Boston is.
yeah, I think they took a lot out of that Toronto series and just kind of kept it going. And Tuca, like Quick a couple years ago when he shut down and when they won the cup,
Yeah.
he's a good big
Wait, say that
reason for
again?
it. A couple years ago when the Kings won.
Oh, the
Quick-
Kings. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. It threw me
Because
off.
Quick was doing really well. Because we're just thinking of the Sharks Kings series and they
Yeah.
didn't really let anything up after like game 3.
Yeah.
But I guess we've kind of talked all we can really about the playoffs.
Yep.
So there's a little more hockey going on with some of your favorite Flyers, if you're a Flyers fan that listens to us.
Yes.
And one that I saw that I posed for Jeff before we got on here because I found it interesting, and I kind of teased it when I did the open that there were some surprises, some not.
Yes.
The not so surprising is goalie leaders right now. Well, it's only 2 games, but Carter Hart's third in goaltending.
Right now for the World Championships.
World Championships.
Yes.
And fourth in points
It's Jake
is
Voracek.
tied for third, I guess I could say.
Yes.
With 12 points is Jake Voracek.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Couturier has been superb. James Van Riemsdyk had a remarkable assist on what turned out to be a game winner for Dylan Larkin's goal. He sent a saucer pass over not one, but 2 sticks going from the right side of the ice all the way over to the left. And what a snipe by Larkin.
Yeah.
But
Coots only has 2 points, but both of those came in 1 game.
fine by me. That's
Which,
all right.
in that game, he was player of the game for Canada.
There you go.
For
Always a nice honor.
Yep, for JVR, James Van Riemsdyk. He has 5 points,
That boy Reamer.
a little less than a point per game. 6
Worth
games,
it.
5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists.
Worth it.
Yeah. William Nylander leads all in points. Right behind him is Kucherov. And, of course, the leading goaltender above, that's leading it all, is Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yep.
He has 2 shutouts.
Fun. Very nice.
That just goes to show you how much that team could have gone, how far they could have gone if they would have beaten, if they wouldn't have gotten swept. And why everyone has them so highly rated. Because it doesn't matter where they're playing, they're always doing well.
Yeah. It's just... I just need the Flyers
And
to be
if you
back.
believe the rumors that they could possibly moving some things around and getting Carlson, because there was some rumor or someone tweeted out or whatever that the Shark or the Lightning would like to add.
Yeah, the top
Carlson
2
and
teams
Carlson
rumored to get
go.
Eric Carlson is the Tampa Bay Lightning
And
and the
New
New
York
York
Rangers.
Rangers. Yes.
The Rangers, because Rangers.
Yeah.
And the Lightning
Rangers
is
gonna
because
Rangers.
he's a good friend with Victor Hedman. Of course, the
Yes.
2 best defensemen in the league.
Yes,
are
and
friends
2
with
best
each other.
Pirates.
Yes. Which makes sense because they're both Swedish, right?
Yes. I really had to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great.
But if somehow they were able to afford Carlson, because he even said, I think, that he would possibly take less to go to Tampa Bay,
I agree.
which I think shows just how good Tampa Bay is
Yeah.
and how much, I guess, close he is with
Hedman,
Hedman.
yeah. Also,
That's a better combo than him and Burns somehow.
It is. It doesn't seem like it, but it is. Also, do you realize how much more that helps Tampa Bay? Because then think about
this too, is that if they had him this year, how much
Oh my God. Yeah.
with Hedman going down as much as that would still hurt them, you'd feel a little more. It'd still be
Comfortable.
okay with it because you still have Carlson.
Yeah,
And a pretty
but
good
look at
defense
this, though.
outside of that.
You had 3 of your 6 defensemen that played
Mm-hmm.
were all in their mid-30s.
And even if you somehow move McDonough to second or third pair defenseman,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good for a 29 McDonough who's not the same McDonough, it's still pretty
Yes.
good.
It's very good.
I mean, obviously he wasn't able to shut down the Blue Jackets by himself,
Right.
at least.
But yeah, so 'cause think about
But the other thing they have to worry about is signing Braden Point.
yes.
And then finding cap space to do that. And then if they were to go after Carlson, how they'd maneuver that.
It's either that, depending on who has the bigger contract, it's either Braden Coburn, who right now
He's a UFA.
UFA I think it's a 2.23 mil cap hit, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to figure out how to. Cap Friendly updated their website and it's throwing me off here. It's kind of annoying me. Him and Dan Girardi. Okay.
It was a 3.7 cap hit.
Okay, where are you looking to see that? You guys.
I'm on Cap Friendly. I'm just scrolling down his thing. It was a 3 years, 11.1 that he signed that ended.
For Coburn?
Yeah.
Hold on. Where are you seeing that?
If you go to his Cap Friendly page and
I'm on his page, yeah.
scroll down to where it says...
oh, I see it now. I see it, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, 3.7 mil for Coburn. And then for Girardi... 3 mil.
Yeah.
Another possible player to get rid of defense-wise is Anton Strawman. He's only 32, but
his was
4.5. So I think the clear cut is, although I think if I was the GM for Tampa Bay, I would get rid of preferably Coburn or Girardi because they're turnover machines.
Or
the bigger contract, yes.
I know you want his veteran leadership there, but they already put him last year as the extra skater. You could buy out
Ryan Callahan.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's happening regardless. As much as I love Callie, he's going to get bought out.
Or you, cap-wise, there's teams like Ottawa who kind of need cap.
Yeah. Speaking of Ottawa, and we'll go back to Tampa Bay. I just want to mention this really quickly. Patrick Waugh has an interview with the Senators for the head coach position.
Good luck there.
Yeah. Think about Waugh and the Senators.
He seems like a guy that's going to want to win, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Exactly.
For as close as they were a couple of years ago.
Literally a goal away to get in the finals. Anyway.
And a blow-up.
Yes.
Of everything.
And an Uber drive.
Which they've pretty much gotten rid of everyone that was in that video.
Yeah, right? Anyway.
And if you're... This is just kind of putting it out there just because we're talking about Ottawa and, we get on these tangents.
Yes.
If you're Ottawa, like GM-wise or running the team, how do you get people to come? I know their fans are already not the biggest fans of their owner because he called them out.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really show up for when they were in the playoffs or whatever. And
that's an excellent question.
How do you draw them in? Because
really,
their star player is Bobby Ryan now, and that's kind of it.
I know you don't like him, but honestly,
you're gonna have to throw in Kachuk just because.
I was gonna say Kachuk, because he was the third overall pick.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
I'm not doubting that they have good talent. I'm just not a big Kachuk.
Oh no, I know that. But I think it's definitely. It's really just Brady Kachuk that's your star player. And JG Pajot, if he's still there.
Or
because he even got rid of Kyle Turris a couple years ago.
What is your... They have 7 picks in the draft this year. Next year, they have a good amount. A lot.
Yeah.
They have 12 picks in 2020.
12 picks in 2020. My gosh.
But because they don't have anyone with that big of a contract, they need cap to keep them at the ceiling or whatever.
Yeah.
So
they have 3 second-round picks in 2020.
Yeah.
My God.
They have 3 6th-round picks as well.
I know.
They have 2 I think the biggest thing is they have 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And just think, this time it doesn't have to go to Colorado.
Yep.
how good that first round pick could be. And it doesn't. You could possibly even trade that second round pick if you wanted to. Not that I would if you're Ottawa, just because you're not really competing anytime soon. So just
I lied here. They do have two other players really that you could consider like the stars of this team. Cody Ceci, who's due for a contract this year. He's an RFA, but he's due. And Thomas Chabot. He's 22. His rookie contract expires at the end of next season. So I think it really comes down to those two players and Brady Tkachuk, and possibly if you re-sign him, Anthony Duclair.
Yep.
And JG Peugeot. Other than that, you got nobody as your star.
That's another
players.
thing too is that Ottawa's never been one to give big contracts.
Surprisingly, no. Anyway, though, so before we kind of dive into the Flyers a little bit, to kind of to gather our thoughts and go back to Tampa for a second, then jump to Philly. With Tampa Bay, I think the best bet is, although he's somewhat younger than both Coburn and Girardi, you need to buy out. You need to release Strawman, $4.5 mil.
He's already a UFA, so it's just a matter of not re-signing him.
Right. No, I'm saying just let him walk.
Right.
And then buy out Callahan, and that will help you get closer to either re-signing Point or signing Carlson.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
I think even Point said he wouldn't take too much.
Right, and those are the kind of players that you want. And for him to say that at such a young age,
I also think
it's a very mature answer for such a young player with such talent.
If I'm going to, or the main goal of you wanting to be a player here playing is to win.
Yeah.
To win the cup and win everything. And your best option would be to stay where you are in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Because they have the best chance for you to win.
Yeah. And honestly, that's why I don't think, no matter what amount of money a team offers Braden Point,
Yzerman's back in the league for Detroit, that can get some Detroit fans a little more
hope.
Yeah.
I agree with that big
just
time.
Going, look at what I did with Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I think Detroit, they're only 2-3 years away from playoff contention now because of Steve Yzerman's the GM. Literally, I'm 100% sincere about this.
He took, like a year or so off?
Yeah. Or no, he only took a couple months.
Was it?
Yeah, because Tampa Bay replaced him as their GM earlier, around the All-Star break, somewhere around there.
I thought it was during the off-season.
I could be wrong about this, but I don't know. But anyway, so I think Detroit's on a couple ways from the playoffs. So
they're going to be a team that's always going to be...
Which is good, though, because, for so long, Detroit was such a threat, and then they disappeared. Now they're coming back.
But that's the thing I even kind of...
Yes.
I guess we can talk about it more off-season, kind of looking towards next season, preview-wise. But after this draft, the Rangers are getting possibly Kakko or Hughes, or the Devils are adding another one.
Yeah.
Metropolitan's getting better.
They are. Also, some small news for New York. They hired John Davidson, former Columbus Blue Jackets president, as their new president. Yeah. So, John, congratulations. Wish you the best of luck with that.
I didn't vote for you, but congratulations.
And then, as for some rumors, apparently Kevin Shattenkirk may be on his way out of New York. There are rumors from a former scout.
But that really questions...
Yeah.
Because if you do try to go after Carlson, and those rumors are true that you're going to try to sign him, because you do have some cap to do that.
Yes.
Why would you then trade Shattenkirk?
Right.
I feel like you'd want to have as many pieces at that point, even though you have a bunch of
right.
young
Well,
players.
New York, regardless of if they get Kakko or Hughes, it's going to be really tough because that doesn't solve all their answers.
No, but it's a good
start.
Point.
It's a big first step. But again,
believe it or not,
doesn't help.
As well as the
much.
Metropolitan is, last year to this year, was a big jump from teams.
Yeah.
New Jersey was in the basement.
They were.
They were in the playoffs last year. Anything can happen.
Really can.
Carolina made it to the playoffs in the Eastern Conference Final. They got swept, but they made it there.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but they're not. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're still probably a year or so away from actually being able to contend.
Yes.
Those pieces obviously help a lot, but still a little bit away. But I guess with that being said, we can kind of go on to the Flyers.
Yes. Probably
And,
the most important date coming up for the Flyers.
Did your article come out yet, or is that
It's still in draft, but
you're having an article come out soon that you wrote
yes,
about Nolan Patrick.
I did. So it's again for Sports Talk Philly. It's a rebound year for Patrick.
That's Patrick.
Yes, exactly. So it's no secret that Nolan Patrick has had some injuries the last 2 seasons.
I didn't know he had injuries, Jeffrey. That was a secret to me.
Okay, well, now you know.
Yep. Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, Nolan Patrick had injuries.
Yeah, right. So, by the way, I might as well say, if you are looking forward to hearing what happens to Nolan Patrick next, I suggest that you stop listening now. But,
But he always...
He's been
I
getting
don't
better.
Use like a boxing term, but he's like a fighter, like one of those boxing fighters who always gets knocked down but comes right back up.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't matter how many times he gets knocked down; he's going to come back up.
That's your motivational
at the end of the season.
Quote for the day.
Yeah, there you go. But you remember the 3 games in a row where he got the puck in the head.
Yeah, that's right.
He got hit.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
By who was it? Matt Martin.
Yep.
That gave him the illegal hit that wasn't called.
Yes, there's been so many bad hits.
One of those 4, but it happened one after the other.
Yeah, and he just kept fighting back, kept getting up and
it
up.
It wasn't even that he would leave because it was concussion protocol.
Yes,
and then he'd come back later in the game,
which was amazing.
Even when he got the puck to the head, he came back.
Yeah. But yeah, so far in his first 2 seasons, he played 73 in the first season. And then,
unfortunately, because the hope was last year, because it was a first off season that he's healthy, that I would bring forth this past season.
Yes.
For him to have a breakout year. Unfortunately, at the end of the season, he came out with an injury.
Yes.
But you never know. Tack on a couple more weight or whatever. Work on his game a little bit.
Right.
Especially, I feel, center-wise, his game.
Yes.
Even though the Flyers, I guess, mostly that's probably more so Giroux and Couturier, but I would even put a lot in there, too. But they were always near the top last year at the face-off percentage. But if he can work on his face-offs and everything, that would be huge.
I think that's definitely
especially
a big thing to work on.
Especially if he's, depending on the moves they make, that he is the third-line center.
Right.
That's great, especially if you're going up against other teams' depth or third-liners.
Yeah,
or whatever.
And I was talking to you when I was writing this article because I was trying to figure out what would work best with Patrick.
Yeah.
I think for right now, the biggest thing that comes up is what would the Flyers do come July 1st?
Yeah, but that's obviously a little time to go from now. But
yes,
the lineup they have now, let's just go with that.
Yes, and which is totally fine. I think so. His main line, because he jumped all over the place last 2 years. Actually,
there was a little time where he was on the 4th line. He took
the first line. Yeah, he was on second and the third. I think he spent the most amount of time on his second and third line.
Mostly the second, but
yes. And then the main line he centered was Jake Voracek and Oscar Lindblom, and I thought they looked great.
Even when they were separated, Lindblom had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah,
I think he cooled down at the end of the year, but he did pretty well.
I think he did superb. Yes.
If you feel if Vigneault sees that and Fletcher, I guess you could put him there too, feels confident in putting those 3 back out there again, I think that's good for a breakout year.
I agree,
for each of them.
Right.
For both Patrick and Lindblom.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Because we've seen, even though it's not a lot, we've seen the skills that Patrick has. He has great hands.
Yes, his phenomenal hands. And then just his passing as well.
Yeah, that's what it
sharp.
is. Yeah. Lindblom had, like, I think many people didn't think Lindblom was going to have that greatest year he did last year. I know I didn't.
Absolutely.
To even spend so much time on the first line that he did.
Yeah.
After at the playoffs last year, he was scratched.
That made me mad.
It did, but I got it. No, at the same time. But yeah, that's
right.
I think that's. I know we keep saying it sounds like a broken record, but that's destined for a breakout year, wouldn't you say?
Oh, 100%. I really...
And even if the moves you do make and that's your third line you put out there...
That's not that bad at all.
No,
that's
not.
a tremendous third line.
And
again,
even if it's not Voracek you put on there and it's like you put him out there with JVR, with Patrick and Lindblom.
Honestly, that's even better.
So at least then, because all three are more passive than actually shooting, at least with JVR... he can actually score.
Yeah.
So you can at least find him, and he'll at least not far out, but he'll still take a shot, and he'll get in front of the net.
Because he's not afraid to do that.
No.
Yeah.
We've seen him do it before.
Exactly. And then, so my biggest thing is, I think just to be safe, start Patrick off your third line. Again, it really does come down to what Fletcher does during the offseason.
Even if you don't, and you move Couturier and Drew off each other.
Exactly.
That's another possibility.
Yes. And then, again, so there are really only two centers that I really like
that are available.
That are going to be UFAs potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Pavelski is one. It's a bit of a stretch.
Jeff's another.
Huh?
What?
I hate you. It's a bit of a stretch, but Pavelski. The other is a little bit more realistic. Is Matt Duchene.
Yeah, even though you already have your little, you're not a big fan of Duchene.
I'm growing on him. I'm growing on him a little bit. Yes, he's very skillful. It's just been the only reason I was struggling at first is like just. I don't know.
Off the ice kind of thing.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. Yeah, some off ice stuff, but
I think for me with that, it's more of how he was in Colorado.
Right. Yeah.
Just kind of he never really, not that he didn't try ever, because I think that's a dumb way to put it, but he didn't seem like he wanted to stay in Colorado.
No, because he thought he felt like he was the best. He was the best player out there,
and he felt that this team isn't going anywhere.
No, of course, after he left, they went to the playoffs.
Yeah, I said unfortunately.
Back-to-back years.
Yeah, unfortunately, Colorado said, okay, but you're going to Ottawa.
Yes.
So be happy in Ottawa.
He goes, yeah, all right. And we are out.
I'm getting traded. Well, at least they made it to the Eastern Conference Final, right?
Matt,
Wait,
that was that was the year before. Oh. Right.
Wait, the owner said what about his fans?
I'm saying stuff about a coach in an Uber video?
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
But hey, I made it to the playoffs.
We're awful. Anyway, so going back to the Flyers, though, it really does. So,
he is a solid second line.
Yes,
center.
They both are. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say if you don't go picking up a second line center route, I would then go a second or third line winger route. Mm-hmm. I would look at Gus Nyquist. I would look at Carl Hagelin. I would look at, there was one more name I had on that list. Gotta bring up thing again. Bear with me for 1 second. Jeff Skinner. So those three players, those three wingers, I should say, I would focus on the most in the all season for Chuck Fletcher to look at. And possibly toss that one of them on Patrick's line.
Right.
If not, toss him on the first or second line and throw whoever you have left on Patrick's line to help support him. Again, I think it.
Word.
Yes. Word. Yes. So, because there are very few teams out there that, with all the depth that they have, they don't have. Sorry, I'm so laughing at work. I love that episode. Anyway, I don't think we're gonna be able to finish this podcast. Anyway, damn you. What was I even saying?
Jeff Skinner.
That doesn't help.
But yes, if you put one of those wingers with Nolan Patrick, that would help. Yes. The only thing with if you do Skinner is that he might
be expensive.
a little pricey.
And he kind of deserves the price.
Yeah.
He put up 40 goals this year, which is
tied his personal best.
Yeah, not only that, but let's be real here. Not many people ever saw Jeff Skinner being the old Jeff Skinner, because when he was a rookie in Carolina, people thought, "Oh my God, who is this guy?"
Right.
But then all of these injuries and everything that really hurt, and then he just wasn't the same.
No.
But he has looked superb in his first year in Buffalo, and that's why I'm really surprised if Buffalo doesn't go after him and re-sign him.
That's the one thing they're missing too, is a sniper, a pure sniper.
Yes,
that's the thing the Flyers.
He is a pure sniper.
Yeah, and even if you don't do that, there's also like a Carl Hagelin or even not the best, but there's also Zuccarello. He's got speed and has a Vigneault connection.
Yeah,
he did good for the Stars in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different options there too, that I think would also help Patrick.
Right. There's plenty that he can do to help out.
Oh yeah, before I forget.
Yes.
It's starting World Juniors, right? Or not World Juniors, in the juniors in Canada right now.
World Championships?
Nope.
Isaac Ratcliffe? Yes.
Isaac Ratcliffe.
Yes, I know what you're talking about now. He's been amazing.
Yep.
I really think he's pushing to.
I would like that, because at the moment, unless you put Hartman there, there's a spot open on the fourth line. I'm assuming the fourth line would be right now Lawton and Raffle. There's another.
And
winger.
then, so I think, as much as I like Bailey's
going to win the Phantoms.
Yeah, because it's just, the only reason I'm saying Bailey would be on the Flyers, well, he might just be an extra forward, kind of like a Taylor Lear situation. Now, he might not enjoy that, though.
No.
But because
it might be
Fletcher basically flat out said, "Oh, Bailey's an NHL player," you know.
This is where the Flyers were need to focus this year. For once, they don't really have to focus on goaltending. Really backup goaltender, and really then I'm fine with either Talbot or Elliott, whichever one they go prefer.
Yeah.
For me, I'd prefer Elliott just because last year he played better, and I think he could play well. But Talbot's also Cart's mentor, so I don't know which way you want to go there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with either way there, or either as a backup.
I don't know.
But that's depth-wise, the Flyers have to focus on, and a top D man maybe. But that's my focus for the Flyers this offseason.
Yours is a defenseman?
Defenseman and depth. I would be adding another center or forward or winger, and then the defenseman. Those are the three things I think the Flyers need to do this offseason.
It's always been defense.
And then obviously re-sign Konechny, Sanheim, Provorov, and I'd bring back Lawton. And Hartman I'd be okay with.
I'm perfectly okay with bringing back Hartman.
Just because I still don't know what he brings yet.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen enough from him.
Yeah, I hear you.
I've seen some things where I could say, okay, I think he could be a good fourth line kind of scrappy guy, but then there's times where you get lost. So I'm okay if you give him a 2-year deal. I'm
content with a 2-year deal. I'm very content with a 2-year deal.
And if he doesn't show up, you could put him to the Phantoms if it comes down to that. But
I'm good with that.
And even I don't think it's the worst thing, but if you put him with Raffle and Lawton, that's not terrible. That's not. That's a pretty good fourth line.
That's depth.
That's depth.
That's the best fourth line you've had in
years.
Almost a decade at least.
Yeah. Because you have a solid Lawton and Raffle, and I put Hartman there. He's
Oh,
pretty
yes.
scrappy. And
Oh yeah, and throws big hits.
sure.
And has some speed.
Yeah.
So my thing is, because I remember I was going to say now, there are some teams out there, very few teams again, that they have so much depth. They don't even have 4 lines. It's not a first, second, third, and fourth line. It's a first, a second, and 2/3, or a first, 2 seconds, and a third. You know, sometimes even 2 first lines, a second, and a third. You know, so with the right pieces, the Flyers, they can push for that.
Yep.
They're not there yet, but they can certainly push for being a team with a first, a second, and 2 third line team. 2 third lines.
Yeah.
For a team.
Depth-wise, that's great because for a majority of the league, you could possibly go up against. For the Lightnings and Bruins as shut as them, you can go up against them a little better. Even the Capitals, especially after
even Toronto.
Yeah, I'd still give that to the Flyers just because defensively, they're still better. But yeah, I was thinking more of Boston just because they're always been good at the Capitals. Killed us last year.
Yep.
And the Lightning are always obviously the best team.
Right.
But I think that's as much as we can really say with the Flyers at the moment. But with that being said, I think that's where we're going to end the podcast today. We talked about a good amount of things.
We did. There's certainly other things we can touch on
but
later.
This is how I'm actually going to end this.
Go for it.
I think you asked me this, but I'm going to get your prediction of what happens with Sharks Blues.
I briefly mentioned it.
I don't remember it.
Okay. I'll bring it up again just, to end the... Yeah. So...
prediction time.
Yes, exactly. It basically, if San Jose... I would say it's win or go home. I think if they do... they're going to win... It's going to be a close game in Game 6. I'm going to say in overtime as well to force a Game 7, and then SAP Center is going to be rocking for them. Yes, they did just lose it there in Game 5, but with the stakes on the line and trip to the Stanley Cup Final, they have what it takes to get the job done and push past these pesky Blues, which honestly, I got to give them a hell of a lot of credit.
I think
I did not nearly expect them to be
they took
this far.
The hand pass or whatever and lost that one.
Yes.
I think they took that as motivation too. For those last 2 games.
Absolutely.
Or 3 games, I guess, because they've won 3.
Yes. So, so for now, for San Jose, they have a tough test ahead.
Yep.
But I think everything's going to fall into place, and we'll have a San Jose Boston matchup for the Stanley Cup Final, which should start in Boston.
Okay, so we're both thinking the same thing.
Yes,
here.
we are.
All right.